Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Um, I usually do Dark Shadows videos. I'm going to do a Halloween video, a Friday the 13th video today. Um, I'm going to start with Friday the 13th first. My Halloween video will be later. I don't know what's going to happen with the Crystal Lake series at Peacock. I think their story, if it is a prequel to the original, it should not be this hard to tell a prequel to the original. Because simultaneously, you could be setting up how Pamela was able to pull all this off up to the point of 1980. How, okay, her son apparently drowned. So let's say, because I would say Pamela was the cook of the original campgrounds. So we see the kids in the cafeteria in the line for lunch, and she's one of the cooks. She's helping make sure the food is distributed, and the kids are going through the line. You see a lot of these kids, and she's looking. She doesn't see her son. Maybe he's at the end of the line. Who knows? And all the kids go through the line. She's like, "Where's Jason? Where's my son?" And they're like, "Bro, when you go camping, do you know how easy it is to lose count of kids? It's very easy. I can't say I've done it because the only place I've ever camped is my backyard with my kids, but and I only have two. So that being said, she comes out, looking around for her son. She doesn't see him. There's no signs of her son. Maybe there was something left by the lake. That's why they assume he went in the water. But they searched the lake, they searched the woods. They never seem to find Jason. Or maybe they just searched the lake and never find Jason. How does Pamela get away with this? It's simple. Jason's birthday is every Friday the 13th. Okay, so Pamela, though she's distraught from losing her son, she has an actual the place you saw in the woods wasn't always run down. Where part two, where Jason is, that was maybe the Voorhees' home. Maybe they lived there. Maybe there was actually plumbing in that place at one point in time. We don't know. Or maybe they had a house near there, and that was just an extra shack or something. She stumbles upon Jason. And she says, my boy, oh, you've come back to me, we're gonna get them. We're gonna get them." And Pamela is so out of her, she literally thinks she's talking to a ghost, even though she's touching him. There's part of her that is half crazed and half normal. Because you did see that with Betsy Palmer to the degree of, look how normal she was at the moment of talking to Alice. And she says, "I'm not afraid." Um, she's very calm. She does not seem like a person who would commit murder until she slowly starts losing her mind in front of Alice. And Alice is coming to okay, there's something wrong with this woman. That's another element they need to pay attention to with Friday the 13th if they're transitioning from Pamela to Jason. Pamela comes first. You have to tell your story not just through Pamela, but through the town of Crystal Lake and through the campgrounds. The Christie family, I honestly believe, did not want to suspect one of their own camp counselors of A, committing murder, B, setting cabin fires, or C, poisoning the water, tainting the water. Because I get the feeling that the Christie family treated their employees like family. Think of what Steve Christie says to Pamela before he's stabbed. Oh, what are you doing out in this mess? Okay, this is a woman who was trusted with lives, not just food. This woman was very respected. They did not suspect any of their employees of committing a murder. They suspected an outsider, a crazy person. Look at the camp counselors when they're murdered. Oh, we weren't doing nothing honest before the terror comes out, before the screaming starts. They're more afraid of losing their job or getting in trouble. That's a person of authority. Pamela would be that person. Pamela would be that person. This is not a woman who was viewed as crazy. She did not act crazy in front of public people. One-on-one, if she could murder you on Friday the 13th, different story. But this is not a woman who acted crazy in front of normal people. That's why nobody ever figured out who did the shit until 1980 happened. You also have claims in part 2, and you got to keep part 2 in mind too, that people claim to have saw Jason. Maybe they saw Jason as a boy too. Maybe some hunters saw a boy in the woods. Hey, there was this boy staring at us. He looked, a little disfigured. We don't know who he was. And they're like, well, that sounds like Pamela's boy Jason, who apparently drowned. And again, you're not sure. Did hunters see him? They're saying they saw a boy. Those are things that the series could play with and should play with. They should also play with, okay, did the Christies go crazy? And did they go broke? Broke, yes. Broke, yes. Did they go crazy? Did the idea of never finding Jason haunt the Christie family? Not Steve Christie, Steve's parents. Did it haunt them? We always hear in part 5, what haunts you? Maybe that's always been in the series. Maybe that's always been there in the franchise. Again, these are things they could explore within the world of a Friday the 13th prequel. Also in town, you have the Jason gossip of, did somebody see a boy? And then when slowly things start, because you have to cut off, you don't have to cut off on when the two camp counselors are murdered. Other things could happen. When the Christies are getting sued for wrongful death, they're still wanting to keep the camp open. They have the money, but the bills are starting to pile up when nobody wants to go up there, keep going up there. Not when the murders happen, but when everything else keeps happening. Accidents keep happening on Friday the 13th. Or apparent accidents. The camp counselors do they have to be the only two that were murdered? No, not necessarily. You could get into, again, the franchise as a whole did get into missing people. Bodies were never found. Maybe with Pamela you can get into that, where hikers have went missing. Maybe the sheriff, that's why the sheriff goes up to Crystal Lake. Hey, there was a hiker who went missing. Did you see him? And they're like, no. Or hikers that went missing. Again, these are things the series could get into. And I think they should. To keep it interesting. To make that transition from Pamela to Jason to suspect, okay, is Pamela the only one committing the murders? Is Jason committing any murders? Leave that a question mark in fans' minds. Is it just one doing it? That's something you could play with too. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a nice day.